Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to game number 2 of our Morgan and Ichbineinkonto 1v1 for our Winter Championship. Kanto went ahead and took game number 1. Morgan's going to be looking to bring it back this time around, and once again, still being joined by Philatanic. So, hello, welcome. What are we looking at?
So, one thing that immediately stands out to me is there's a potential science spot down to the southwest of the colony. The water's a little bit out of range. I think you could fit a science spot in here. There's really no carbon whatsoever on this map, just pairs of lows everywhere. I highly doubt if we see a scavenger in this map. So I'm thinking the science spot I would have... Well, Morgan decides to go with the robot there.
Interesting decision going after the robotic. This is going to let him get off to a very fast start because he planted in a ton of iron. I mean, an absolutely ridiculous amount of it. Iron was starting off at that $40 price. That may have been what Morgan was thinking about. He's going to be off to the races very, very quickly this game, although going a bit excessive on the iron mines after knocking that price down with his found. Going to need to see some more steel out of him.
Right. I was thinking that we might see another robot in this game in perhaps a slightly different location, maybe up to the west of the colony, something like that, where you're kind of close to some resources. Kanto deciding to go into an expansive. I'm not entirely, in fact, I'm actually not a fan of this placement of this HQ whatsoever. Mainly because these cliffs and this crater is in the way. The expansive base is so large, you get all those extra claims. Kanto's going to have a hard time splitting his production properly in this location, and those power surges are going to do some serious damage later on in the game.
Cool. Well, already with a mutiny on to Morgan. Morgan can't do anything about that for another 15 seconds, just trying to take his iron away from him. Morgan's got a decent stockpile, though. I don't know how much this is actually going to get in the way of his upgrades, especially considering aluminum and electronics are still pretty darn cheap. For the moment, it looks like it's being a hindrance. Okay, not even going to worry about the metal mine.
No, those steel mills were auto off anyway, and Morgan says, well, we're just going to keep those off. Not going to let you get any steel to get an upgrade.
Yeah, and that is problematic. I mean, Kanto is still back on HQ1, and that's maybe why I was a bit surprised by the mutiny. Typically, you can't afford $3,000 right at the start of the game.
No.
To actually attack your opponent with before you upgrade. Kanto, I believe, should be pretty close to being able to upgrade. But perhaps just this rising steel price, the fact that he has no steel stockpile, getting in the way right now.
Pretty far from the upgrade. He has no steel. Steel's 4.6k. He has $18 in the bank.
Yeah, but he's got a large iron stockpile.
He's just starting to sell that.
Yeah, I really didn't like this mutiny. It's just slowing him down so much. Even if you get in Morgan's way, I don't think it's going to quite be enough, especially as an expansive player. You want to focus on getting through those HQ upgrades as fast as you can, because they're just so much more valuable for you than everyone else. And here, Kanto even found it second. I mean, he gets an additional extra claim if he goes ahead and just smacks that upgrade button. That's 5 claims that he's missing out on right now.
Right. Yeah, this is going to slow him down a lot compared to the robot. He does finally hit that upgrade to HQ number 2. 5 claims to deal with. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to use them on.
Alright, well, immediately some more. Yeah, geotherm auction is interesting. This should be pretty usable for both players, although for Morgan, obviously, that's steel at 62. That's still going to be reasonably expensive for him to try and put a geotherm up.
However, it is a power colony, which we did not mention at the beginning of this broadcast, and it already has 4 modules at level 5 using 0.8 power.
Yeah, and power already up at 130.
And rising.
2,000. That is an expensive claim, but might be able to get away with it. Kanto didn't have any debt so far. One advantage of not having any buildings is that you're not really consuming a whole lot of power, and you're not getting a whole lot of debt with it. So we'll see how this works out for him, if he can keep this in check for the rest of the game.
Morgan was really quick to that HQ2 upgrade, but he's sort of been stalling out right now. He doesn't have any access to aluminum, which is what he's missing the most, 3K needed for the upgrade. In aluminum alone, he just about has that upgrade. But you mentioned when he upgraded HQ2 that you thought he was going into too much steel, and I think this delay from 2 to 3 is kind of proving that to be correct.
Yeah, I did not like Morgan's claims at HQ2. I really would have liked to see him. For the most part, it's okay, but I was thinking more triple steel along with the double iron. You can even split them up a little bit, so one's with the iron and the other two are off on their own. And then maybe even just a water pump, because you didn't need aluminum that badly. You're a robot. The price was pretty low. It started at 10. It's not being a problem right now, but there was an opportunity to block Kanto off from this high water tile that he has now taken. Morgan missed out on it. Kanto's now making all that water money and is very, very quickly catching up to Morgan here. And Morgan's just getting further and further away from actually upgrading as the steel price falls and the aluminum price rises.
Yes, steel price falls. Morgan deciding to do the same thing we criticized Kanto about at HQ1, which was attack instead of upgrading. It may have been better for Morgan to upgrade than attack after. Right now, Kanto... so at this point, if Kanto looks at Morgan's HQ, he'll notice that Morgan doesn't have any aluminum. He doesn't know whether Morgan has aluminum stockpiled up or not. He could buy a little bit into it and see if Morgan's price goes up. That's what I'd be tempted to do. Buy a little bit of aluminum, see if the value of Morgan's cash and resources goes up, and he does do that. He's just going to make that upgrade for Morgan even harder. Instead of needing 4K aluminum.
Oh, this is huge. Nobody has aluminum yet. Morgan desperately needs this, but the problem is because Morgan's been so slow to upgrade, power just keeps rising and rising and rising and rising and rising, but Morgan has to take this. He doesn't really have much of an option in order to stay in this game. You have to bid. Okay.
Yeah, this
is the game right here. This is it. All right, 36. It's going to go to Kanto. I don't really know what Morgan does from here to stay in it. He was so focused on aggression. He tried to take a mutiny in order to get some of this water. He had managed to create a high water price from Kanto consuming a lot with these farms and the power surge on the water. Morgan tried to take it with a mutiny, but Kanto manages to rip the mutiny right back, and Morgan's just stuck. He's dead in the water at this point.
Morgan is dead. The only thing that's helping him right now is Kanto still needs another 8.5K to upgrade himself. Now he did notice his steel mills were offline, which he does need 3K of that steel to upgrade. Except he decided to get rid of his steel mills.
Well, steel at $6. I can't really blame him for that right now.
No, I can't. It just needs to move them into something that actually makes a decent amount of money.
The black market is open for business.
He does have that aluminum coming in, a decent stockpile of aluminum, so whenever he wants, he can start selling out of some aluminum to push to that upgrade. Or he could just keep on holding on to it and keep that aluminum price really high for Morgan. He decides to sell down.
But upgrades right afterwards, so aluminum's going to sit at 80 for the time being. I imagine we won't be seeing too much more aluminum selling for the time being, and well, this game has turned on its head. Oh boy. It's going to be also important potentially for Kanto to try and keep that steel price low as he can, as that would prevent Morgan from buying up this high aluminum price and make absolutely certain that he cannot pull himself out of this HQ level 2 problem that he has.
Right, that's another reason to keep those steel mills on, even though they were only making $6 a second then. Morgan has finally decided to move out of those steel mills and into something that makes money. In this case, glass. It's making, with the adjacency bonus, just under 50 a tick and drastically falling quickly, but Morgan's hoping that will be enough cash infusion to get to that upgrade to HQ3.
Yeah, and I don't find it likely. This lack of aluminum. Guys, aluminum, personal opinion, just alert, Aluminum's the most important resource in the game. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs it. Trying to go without claiming aluminum for this long. And Morgan, I know it would have hurt for him to push this metal mine auction even higher. It would have been painful, but I think it's a lot more painful to just sit here at HQ level 2 doing nothing. No matter what resource Morgan tries to make, he calls it well played. He's going to GG out. That's entirely reasonable in my opinion. The problem Morgan had was he only had one resource secured. He had iron.
Mm-hmm.
And that meant he could not put down any other secondary building against an opponent that had any amount of cash whatsoever, because Kanto can use that stockpile of cash and knock out whatever secondary Morgan tries to use. He's just going to drive the price of the base resource so high that Morgan can't actually use a single secondary building in the entire game. And
right.
That's going to kill Morgan off.
Morgan conceded before we can mention this, but if you look at Kanto's viewpoint, as soon as he noticed Morgan was in glass and making money, he bought up 253 silicon to shut that down.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure that's the move that caused Morgan to go ahead and concede once he identified that Kanto was actually paying attention and was going to be a serious problem. And that was just an HQ level 2 error out of Morgan. Only 6 claims available. You have to be so careful about how you place them. And in particular, steel didn't start at 120 like we've been seeing pretty often in a lot of these games, interestingly enough. Steel started at 60 and it crashed out pretty hard. Morgan did not have a backup plan in order to solve that problem.
Right. Yeah, GameSlayer mentions in chat that with that first power surge, Morgan had Kanto dead to rights, which I kind of agree. It's just that Morgan made some mistakes HQ2, too much aggression, not securing some aluminum, and allowed Kanto to catch back up.
Yeah, let Kanto really pull himself back into this. I mean, in particular, both players it was this opposite from what we usually see, where almost too aggressive with the black market. They wanted to hit their opponent, and that's a great idea most of the time, but you always have to also make sure that you have secured a stream of income this game, and that's something Morgan never bothered to do, and it came back to bite him.